Some of you probably saw this, but last week I had a lesson from hell. I posted that lesson on YouTube because I wanted everyone to see how bad things can go sometimes when ego and insecurity and fear get in the way of your understanding of reality. So let's talk about this. Okay, so here I am, I'm back at the house, and what I want to do with you now is something that I've never done before in my vlogs, which is to break down a drum lesson. I want to, in a way, guide you through exactly what happened during the now infamous lesson from hell that I had last week. Now, why am I doing this? Let me make this very clear. This is not about shaming the student. This is not about embarrassing anyone. This is about understanding what can go wrong and how to address things when they go wrong, and of course also to reverse engineer what went wrong in order to avoid those mistakes in the future. So this is a video that is suitable both for students and teachers. So a little bit of context. This student visited me on a Sunday, so he went to the Leeds Music Academy on a Sunday, and I was in the middle of a lesson, so I couldn't really spend much time with him, and he told me that he wanted to become a drum teacher. So I asked him to book an appointment with me, and so he did, and on Thursday, the following Thursday, he came by and we sat down to discuss exactly what could be done so he could achieve that plan of becoming a drum teacher. Of course, to do that, I had to test his skills as a teacher. I had to test his skills as a person, really. If you know me by now at all, you know that for me teaching is not just a hobby. Teaching is not a side gig. Teaching is my whole life. Education is my fuel, and teaching is what I do. Now, when you come to me and you say that you want to become a teacher, expect me to challenge that idea. Not because I'm trying to put you off doing it, but because I want to make sure that you are sure that that's a good idea. So that's how the lesson began. Last time you were saying that you wanted to teach the drums, and then you were...
Actually, no.
You changed your mind?
No.
Now there's already here a clear sign of some resistance to the idea of being questioned. He's going to use this word a lot, and I want you to notice that because it's going to become an important element in the middle of this train wreck, which is this verbal crutch of saying actually. I'll break it down further in a minute.
I've never been doing this. And, I just play at home.
Yeah.
So that's different.
That is very different. And make yourself comfortable. I'm standing because I've been sitting all day, but you can sit down.
All right.
So let's talk about the body language. He was sat down, and when I questioned him, he stood up. Now, that might mean nothing, but to my understanding, that revealed that he wanted to make himself equal to me, which is fine. But in this case, it revealed ego. So when I questioned him and I was standing up, and by the way, I was standing up not for any kind of alpha male dominance attitude, but I was standing up because I wanted to stretch my back and my legs. I had been teaching for a long time that day, so I was just standing. He was sat down, stood up, and kind of leveled himself with me. So that was the first sign. But yeah, so the one thing that when you left, when was it that you were here? Sunday. When you left, I started thinking about our conversation, and then because you said I've never had a drum lesson before.
No.
That's where I go a little bit like, that's a problem.
Actually, I've been playing in the orchestra.
Yeah, you told me
so,
that. So you can read the music.
Like...
There you have it. Actually, he used it again. It's going to become more and more evident why he used that word so often. There are no qualifications to teach drums. That doesn't exist. That's not a thing, right? Like, you can't buy it, you can't go to a place where they give you a paper. That doesn't exist.
Right.
What does exist is two things. There's two ways you can go about this. One, you spend a lifetime taking lessons from a gazillion people. You go down the normal academic route, you go get your degree, and then you start working, you start teaching. Right? That's my case. I started taking drum lessons when I was 4 years old. Never stopped until I was 26.
Right.
So that's 22 years of taking drum lessons literally every week.
Actually, I did a lesson from YouTube.
There you go again. Actually. Now there is, of course, like you said, there is a journey now. There is understanding when it comes to teaching. Because teaching has nothing to do with how well you play the drums.
Right.
Zero. You could be the best drummer in the world and the worst teacher in the world as well.
Right.
I've met many of those. Play drums great, horrible teachers. Okay, so I had to say that teaching has nothing to do with how well you play the drums, and I truly believe that. I think that's when things went a little bit pear-shaped. I believe anyway, because he wasn't expecting to be told that because he believes that he's a good drummer, and he might be for all that matters, he believes that that automatically makes him a good teacher. And he couldn't really understand that that's not the case. Because they don't understand student psychology, they don't understand pedagogy, they don't understand how to interact with people. Right. They have very poor social skills. Everything is about themselves. Right? So everything is about how good they are. But that's not a teacher. Right? Of course, you need to know how to play. That's fine. I say that's a given. So it's almost as if I was predicting what was about to happen. And for some reason, I actually believe that I was predicting what was about to happen, because the first time I met him, I felt him a little bit disconnected when it came to our own one-on-one interaction. So maybe that's why I started addressing what makes a bad teacher a bad teacher.
I've been around 13 years old.
So, like 7 years ago?
No, I'm 43 now.
I'm a joke. It's a joke.
And if I go to orchestra and I play 2 years and I live 2 years in orchestra with professional musicians.
Sure, I was going to ask you about that.
We've got studio. I sleep next door. I've been 100 hours in studio and I play. You know what I mean?
So that's
musicians show me notes. I have to play with notes.
Yeah.
With 23 people.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
That's what I was going to ask you about the orchestra stuff. Like, how did that come about? So at this point, he's trying to lay out exactly the circumstances of his life that led him to be really good, but at the same time, to his own lack of success. So I was curious to understand where that mindset came from, so I started digging. How did that happen? Could you read music before you joined them?
Yeah.
You could.
Actually, I play drums before I go to orchestra.
Yeah, no, I assume.
Well, actually, in my case, was like, I go to military.
Yeah.
And in military, there was something like concourse for drummers in orchestra.
Sure.
I win only one, so I win. I
Yes.
win only one, so I win.
Of course.
But for 2 years, I got very, very good skills in orchestra.
Sure. So you played the snare drum, timpani. Did you play any pitched, like marimba and stuff
Actually,
like
now, after 15 years breaks, because my children were born and I have to look after my children.
Yeah. So you see, the more I question him, the more the story starts to shift. And the trigger word is actually. Whenever he uses that word, it means he's gonna explain to me how things didn't go so well, or explain to me how the circumstances of his life didn't allow him to succeed. Actually is now the buzzword.
I forgot this different sound because I listen to death metal.
That's it?
Yeah.
That's all you listen to?
Actually, no, different music too.
Oh.
I play guitar. I make music
guitar as well.
myself.
Yeah.
Very soft music. I am a musician, not drummer.
Good. Well
I am a
said.
musician. You understand
Well
what I
said.
mean?
Well said. Because you might not know that. I think you came here by accident.
Yes. You know why? Because
No.
my friend from work English guy. He said he played guitar. He's playing guitar for 3 years, every day. So I said, so you should be good. Come to my studio. I've got studio, garage studio, and playing electronic drums.
Yeah.
He came to my studio and he said, just I start playing, and he take guitar, and he said, thank you, I'm going out. You understand? That's why you're here.
Wait, what? Why? Why did you leave?
This time. Yeah, this time.
But why did he leave? No, you said that he put the guitar down and left?
Yeah, because
Why?
he can't play.
How he can't play?
He can't play. He thinks he can play,
Okay.
but he can't.
Okay. So what? But I don't understand. Why did you come here then?
Because I think
I'm missing a part of that
I
story.
always, play with musicians,
Mm-hmm.
with other drummers, guitars, and other people. But I've never been with someone who had no idea about music.
Never. So well, that's the life of a teacher.
So I think, yeah, actually, I am good because I'm playing years for drums and different styles.
Yeah.
So I could teach other people.
Again.
Probably.
Again, I don't yet. So here he's trying to explain me why he came to take a drum lesson, and then he tells me this story about a guitarist friend that went to jam with him, but then he realized how bad of a guitarist he was. I assumed that what he was saying is that he is such a great drummer that everyone else will just run away from him because he's in such a different league. I had to question that. Now I'm going to challenge him with something that's really going to throw him off. I'm about to ask him to teach me something. So I've decided to now lead the way and take this lesson into a direction that could be a little bit more practical. So I ask him, okay, so now I'm your student, you teach me, and I will evaluate and then help you with your teaching skills. Yes, I don't know that. Here's what we can do. I think this could be the most interesting thing to do. Teach me something.
Alright. Actually, I have a double bass pedal.
I don't play double bass pedal, so
If I've got, I will show you many things for an hour,
I don't
all the time.
I don't play double bass pedal though, so I don't want to learn double bass.
Alright.
It's gotta be about the student. You're already making one mistake as a teacher. You're trying to teach me what you know. Your first question should be, what do you want to know? That's what you should have asked me as a student.
Alright, actually I would like to do something like, you start playing first. You played for 4 times, and I started playing, once me, once you.
But what am I learning with that?
Nothing, just for fun.
But this is a lesson. You're teaching me, remember?
I come here to make a lesson.
No. But that's what I mean. Like the exercise, I'm teaching you how to teach.
Alright. So what do you want now?
Ah. Okay, so here I question exactly what he's trying to teach me, and he seemed to be more willing to just jam a little bit, and I just had asked him to teach me something. So he was kind of a little bit all over the place, so I was trying to bring him back, on track. And then he tells me, but no, I came here to take a drum lesson. And that got me a little bit confused because I thought he had come in to learn how to be a teacher. So you say that you play metal. How do I... Show me exercises for me to develop my left hand speed. Because I'm not a metal drummer. So my speed is like...
Actually, if I play drums and play metal, I use right hand.
Again, he uses the buzzword once again, actually, and once again in the same exact way. He's going to shift the story and he's going to explain me exactly why he can't do what I asked him to do because of the circumstances. You can't? No, but just play an exercise. Doesn't need to be anything difficult.
Actually, I don't want to play metal if I have my drum set for metal. For metal is different than others.
No. I don't want to learn metal. I just want to know how I develop my left hand. I'm not a metal drummer. I don't want to learn metal.
Actually, if I'm doing exercise, I starting from. You can. Probably you know that. But
Once again, He already used the word actually twice in less than a minute because he's feeling slightly cornered and trapped by me. Because I'm telling him, look, I don't want to learn metal. And he keeps telling me that, you know, I only play metal, but I can't play metal on these drums either because these drums are not my drums. What?
So that's the paradiddle. And what else? What do I do with the paradiddle? So I just do that.
So now I played the paradiddle purposefully wrong. I mean, in my opinion, that's not how you play a paradiddle. And I was hoping that he would correct me or suggest something, anything. Not only he didn't do that, but he actually ignored what I just asked.
I can't do that. Yes.
Yeah, of course you can. Of course you can.
We're just pretending. Go on. So what do I do with this now? I just play faster.
Alright, if you're doing warm up, how you warm up?
How do I warm up? I don't.
Why?
Because I'm stupid. I don't warm up.
I warm up like this is for you.
Wait, one second. But that's not the paradiddle. What about the paradiddle?
This is warm up.
But what about, I want to go back to the paradiddle. I was enjoying that.
So now I question him, like, why are you moving on? What happened to the paradiddle? The reason why I did this is because I wanted him to understand that in a teaching process, you have to follow through. You have to expose a concept, you know, to a student, and when you're describing what that concept is, you can't just, here's a paradiddle, now let's move on. You have to follow through, you have to apply it, you have to expand on it, you have to show the student the value of the exercise, not just the exercise itself.
I do it faster, or I do it...
Okay, now we're gonna switch roles a little bit. Sure.
Okay, so here I noticed a few issues with his technique. So, you know, I'm a teacher, so I switched hats and I decided I'm just gonna give him a couple of tips because his technique was a little bit flawed, and you know, so is mine. I wasn't trying to embarrass him, I was just gonna say, your right hand needs to be corrected. He did not like that.
Yeah, but so here's the issue that you even when you try to go faster, you couldn't do it because there's an issue with your...
No, because I'm nervous a little bit.
That's fine. You don't have to worry about it. Like...
Now that he had a glimpse of honesty because he told me, you know, I made a mistake because I'm nervous. That was great. And I think those nerves unfortunately got in the way 2 seconds later.
I provoke people a lot because I want them to push themselves. So all my students, I do the same thing. I push. I don't, again, I'm not here to show you how good I am. That's why I haven't played the note yet. I don't give a what I play. I want to help you with your playing. In this case, I also want to help you with your teaching because that's what you want to do. And I don't want you to not achieve that dream. But also, as a teacher who loves teaching, myself, I can't have a drum teacher out there who doesn't know how to teach. Do you know what I mean? So I'm trying to help you, like, how to deal with a difficult student.
So here I was explaining to him that there's a big difference between motivation and greed. In other words, if you want to teach just because you want to make some money, I will not let you do that if I can avoid it.
Education is what I do. Drums is just my tool. There you go. But let me just mention something there about your right hand technique, because you were doing this. You had your left hand in this position, which is fine, palms facing the floor, but then you had your right hand with the thumbs up. So you had two different angles.
Yeah, the same angles.
But it wasn't.
I know.
Before you did... No, it should be, but you didn't do that. You did this.
Yeah, I sometimes do it like that. Sometimes like that.
Why?
Because if I do it...
No, but you were just on the snare, and you were doing this. You had your right hand straight like this.
If I'm playing, sometimes I'm playing like that.
So here's when everything went pear-shaped. I was correcting his hand technique, and by the way, I wasn't really trying to fix anything, I was just bringing it up. There was an issue with his angles, and I brought it up. I'm a drum teacher, that's what I do. He became seriously upset. But there's something more important here. Cognitive dissonance. He believes, and I do believe that he believes, that he was correct. Not because his ego was telling him to lie, but because his ego is lying to him. This is very serious, and it can be a huge problem in the classroom. When you're teaching a student whose ego is just so overinflated that it gets in the way of their own perception of what's happening. So here, I decided to shut it down. Not because I was getting annoyed, but because I needed to make a stronger point.
Okay, so you think that that's correct?
Yes.
What you were doing? Fine, then the lesson's over.
Yes, I think it's correct because if I don't want to change that because I'm trying different things. I'm just enjoying drums.
That's fine.
But you understand? Enjoying drums.
Yes, so how do you expect to help a student if you don't expect to be helped?
That I had to call him out on the ego thing.
But that's fine, but you seem to be very defensive about a very simple correction.
Yeah, because you're trying to correct me, but after 10 years, I will not, you can't expect me.
So why did you come for a drum lesson?
Now this is going to be the biggest demonstration of cognitive dissonance that you'll ever see in this video. I asked him straight, so why did you come for a drum lesson? Watch how he can't even process the question properly. In his mind, I'm asking something else. That question became a threat, and he's going to try to answer a different question that wasn't asked. Textbook cognitive dissonance.
I'm confused now. If you don't want to be corrected, why did you come?
This is correct what I'm doing.
No, wait, but if... Okay.
This is for you not correct, but for me it's correct.
But if you don't want to be corrected, that was my question. I didn't ask if it's correct or not. But if you don't want to be corrected at all, why did you come for a drum lesson?
This is correct, P.
You're not answering my question. Why did you come for a drum lesson?
Why did I come for drummers?
Yeah.
Because I feel drums. I play drums from 2 years old. I'm not like you.
That's not what I'm asking.
It's not like you playing. Dad buy you drums. I have to play on chairs. You understand? Listen to radio.
So now he's attacking me based on, well, nothing. He's trying to attack my upbringing, basically insinuating that I'm privileged, and that's why he came for a drum lesson?
What do you mean it's not?
For me it was harder. You probably your granddad was a drummer.
My granddad was a drummer.
He was a musician.
No.
He was a teacher.
A teacher, yes.
Your dad was a teacher.
Yes.
And you are a teacher. They're teaching music.
No, they did not teach music.
But
I never said that. I said that they were all teachers.
But what difference is between us? You are a teacher, I am a drummer.
Okay.
So here he's trying to make a bunch of assumptions that would fit his narrative. And the more he realizes that the assumptions are wrong, the more upset he becomes.
I'm missing the point. You're still not answering my question though. Why did you come for a drum lesson?
Why did I come for drummers?
Yes.
Why I enjoy the drumming?
But that's not what I'm asking. I'm not asking you why you are a drummer. I'm asking you why did you come for a drum lesson? It's a different
for
question.
drum lessons.
Now he's about to attack me on my playing. Since he tried to attack me on my upbringing and that I'm a white privileged, Portuguese guy, and that didn't work, now he's gonna attack my skills, really. Not once he tried to answer the question, why did you come for a drum lesson?
Yes. I came here, I didn't see before you're playing. This is true.
Okay.
I saw, after that, I go home and I find you on Facebook. And I saw how you're teaching, how style you're playing. And I came here only for enjoy time, me and you, as a drummer. Actually,
But that's not a drum lesson.
No, I'm not came here for drum lesson.
Now he said I didn't come here for a drum lesson, whilst before he said that he was here for a drum lesson. Confused? So was I.
See, but you told me on Sunday that you wanted to...
You know these notes, yes?
Wait, but you told me on Sunday that you wanted to teach drums.
Yeah.
Now look how he tries to deflect the situation. I'm challenging him, he's now again standing up, which shows again that he wants to dominate the situation. I'm still sitting down because I don't mind the whole alpha male approach to the conversation. But now he tries to shift the conversation completely and asks me, pointing at a poster that I have on the wall with a bunch of notation, can you read these notes? What?
I want to be teacher.
Yes, I understand.
You know all these notes.
The notes are all the
And
same.
you can play from notes.
Of course. But
So-
what I just don't understand a couple of things here. I'm trying to understand you, but you seem to be...
As you can tell, I'm not willing to let go, and I'm not willing to have him sidetrack the conversation.
But if you care to answer just this question, if you want to teach the drums, why are you so not okay with being taught? Because this lesson was going fine until you suddenly were like, no, don't correct me. But if you can't be corrected even as a teacher,
Yeah, but because I saw how you play.
but what's that to do with
If
me?
you're better than me, I would say, okay, I would say. You understand? And I don't know what I came here for, really. I don't know what I expect.
So you're saying that you're a better drummer than me, and so you can't be taught?
No.
That's you just
No,
said
no.
that.
So now he again attacks me on my drumming skills, which is fine, but nothing to do with why he came and why he's upset, really.
But I'm fine with that. Maybe I am a worse.
I'm different from different world.
Sure, you play metal and I don't. That's fine. But that doesn't mean anything when it comes to the fact that you want to teach drums, but you don't really know what to call a paradiddle. Plus, your paradiddle is not played correctly. I'm sorry to tell you. That's not how you play
it's true,
paradiddle.
Yeah, because I'm just playing this, because I'm playing different thing.
A
Yeah.
paradiddle? No. Okay, let's stop there. Because as a teacher, you can't have a style.
Yeah,
There's
I know.
no teachers of metal drums.
Yeah.
You gotta teach everyone. So you can't say, I don't teach this or that. Otherwise, you won't have any students, man.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And paradiddles have nothing to do with metal or jazz or rock. Paradiddle is the foundation of drumming, right? Singles, doubles, paradiddles, flams, drags, rhythmic all those rudiments, that's the foundation of drumming. It has nothing to do with which style you play. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So look at his body language, look at how he's pacing now that I'm listing all these things that he doesn't know. He's pacing around, he's turning his back on me, then he looks at me. What you can't see in the video that he's most of the time just staring at the floor. That's a sign that he's looking for a way out. And that means that his cognitive dissonance and confirmation bias are just about to kick in again.
So it doesn't matter if you watched my videos and you didn't like what you see, that's irrelevant. The fact of the matter is that your paradiddle was still incorrect. I was trying to help you, and you became very upset.
You know why? You know why?
No,
Because
I
I've
don't.
got problem in my life now. Because
But what's that to do with me?
nothing.
But you're lashing out on me, though.
Nothing.
Yeah.
But you opened my eyes. And thank you very much for this lesson. You opened my eyes. I don't want to be teacher. No, I don't want to be teacher.
I agree.
This is not.
And I knew that on
I am
Sunday.
different. I am different person.
Yeah, you are.
Maybe I am good drummer, but I
Of
can't
course,
teach.
and that's nothing to do with your drumming skills, exactly.
And now, here we go. He's once again going to explain me why the circumstances of his life don't allow him to be successful. And he still hasn't answered the question, why did you come for a drum lesson?
I
I'm
understand.
good with that.
I
I am good
understand.
drumming, but I am not teacher.
But
And you opened my eyes.
I'm glad I helped because
Really?
I must tell you, and I'm.
Okay, and there you go. That's that lesson from hell. So let's break it down one step at a time. First, Let's analyze the body language. Since the very beginning, he was upset, he was nervous, which I understand, and he was jittery. And that was a bit of a giveaway. This is someone who's not comfortable in this environment. This is someone who's not comfortable around other musicians, around other drummers, and not because of not being used to, but because of the threat level. He's more used to being around people who don't know what he's talking about, and that makes him feel good. Motivation and greed. I saw straight away from the very beginning that he had the wrong reasons to be there. And I wanted him to see it, and fortunately, I believe I succeeded. His verbal crutches were through the roof. I mean, he really has trigger words and buzzwords and anchor words. Actually, is the word that he uses whenever he's gonna tell you a story that he's just fabricated that explains his belief system. It explains it to himself though, not to anyone else. His cognitive dissonance was also through the roof. He could in one moment be saying, yes, I agree with you, and then 2 seconds later disagree with himself and me. But more importantly, with himself. Not a good sign. The level of his delusion was also quite scary, and I don't mean this in a critical way, but he did believe that he was a great drummer who was destined to become a professional drummer and a teacher. I'm not saying that he's not. I barely saw the guy playing. But even the mindset shows that he's not. Finally, let me explain to you exactly why I wanted to share this vlog. If you are a teacher, or if you want to become a teacher, or if you're a drum student or a music student or a student of anything really, this lesson shows you exactly what one can become when one loses control over one's ego. Be very careful about how you conduct yourself. Be very careful about how you portray yourself. It is so important that you understand how other people see you, because that reflects how you see yourself. In this case, I'm posting this video. If this guy watches the video, which in a way I hope he does, I really hope he understands that the reason why I'm posting this video is not to embarrass him or to shame him, but rather to show that when the stories become louder than reality, that gap between your perception and what's actually happening becomes too deep and too thick for you to actually see through it. And that storytelling becomes the only filter that you use to make sense out of reality. Listen, the world is huge. If we don't know ourselves, and if we don't know our goals and our principles, then it's just chaos. The world is ginormous. There are 7 billion point something people in the planet. If we don't know how to conduct ourselves, we're gonna get lost. There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of different perceptions of reality out there. I would even say that every single one of you who's watching this vlog right now is watching a different vlog. Every single one of you. And that's outstanding, just as long as we understand that. I hope this helps, and don't forget to subscribe. Take care, guys.
Thank you.